Hey, welcome to Between the Ears Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Curtis Pelletier, mental performance coach. Here we're bringing on coaches, players, scouts, baseball people to talk baseball. Their views and experience in recruiting, player development, and mental performance. If you're playing pro ball, college, high school, or just a parent trying to manage the matrix of travel ball, this podcast is for you. Here we go. AJ Lewis. AJ's a catcher, utility player in the Colorado Rockies organization. AJ currently plays for the Hartford Yard Goats. I got to know AJ back in 2018 when he played for me for the Victoria Harbor Cats. Really good when we got into a lot of catching mechanics and the mental performance side of catching. And AJ's journey. Enjoy. Whoa.
Curtis, what's going on?
What's up, dude? Been a while.
I know, man. I know. I'm sitting there. I'm like I've never done it on what platform is this? This is actually super cool.
Yeah, it's called Riverside. It's a podcasting platform. It's got some big AI stuff in it. So like when we finish, as soon as I hit stop, it creates clips for Instagram, Facebook, YouTube,
Oh, wow.
90 seconds, 60 seconds, all that. So it just simplifies things, and it's sometimes a pain in the ass for people, especially like old dudes. Like if I had my old college coach on here, he's calling me on the phone. He's like, I don't know how to fucking do this.
It was different. Like I hopped on. I thought it was just a regular link, so I hopped on at like 58, and I was just going through. I was like, okay, let me make sure. And so I'm gonna look at the screen, but I just recently cracked my computer screen.
Oh,
so I have it like hooked up to
TV.
I have it hooked up to like.
Oh, look at me! Yeah, look at that. I'm on the wall.
So, no, that's.
Well, hey, I appreciate you coming on, man. It's
So also, I'm so sorry, man. I got a new phone, and I like none of the numbers saved. So you text me like maybe a week or two ago, I think, and I didn't know it was you, and so I was just like, who the? But like, no,
it's all good. That's why. Yeah, that's all good. That's why I went on Instagram, and I know I lost a bunch of email, or I got rid of a bunch of email addresses, and so I lost all kinds of contacts.
Yeah.
So it happens to me nonstop. People are like, "Hey, what's up, bro?" I'm like, "Nah, I'm good. I'm not gonna respond to this."
How's everything been, though, man?
Yeah, good, man. I've had 2 kids since I've seen you.
Wow.
Twin 2.5-year-old girls, dude.
So life's life.
It's bananas. It's I got old real quick. So no, it's been good, man. I've been heavy into the mental performance side. I mean, shoot, since 2018 when you were here, I was the bullpen coach. By 2022, I was the general manager. So I worked my ass off in that organization to climb up, and then and then the girls were born. I opened an indoor facility across the street from Royal Athletic as well.
Okay.
It was about 8,000 square feet. And so once the girls were born, I sold that. I resigned. I got rid of everything. And I've just been working on the mental performance side of everything now with baseball players, soccer players, golfers, all kinds of people.
Wow.
So
how's that been?
It's been nice, man. I've been home. I miss being on the field, but the cost of being away from my family is just too much, dude. I can't. I kind of did it in 2022 when the girls were first born, and every night I was coming home to every girl in my house just crying, including my wife, and it was just too brutal. So I'll be on the field again. I'll do my thing. I'll get another life ahead of me, you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
So what's up? What's going on with you? Where you at? You in Hartford?
Yeah, nothing much, man. That's awesome, by the way. And I hear that so many times. Like, it's a lot of guys that are, coaching and stuff, and then like they have kids and life gets in the way, and it's like so normal because this life is just like not conducive for that, man. Like
unless even if your family travels with you, it's a cost, man. It's a real big cost. And I'll be honest, if the financial compensation's not there, and the
No,
whole family just can't get on board, like you can, you look at big league coaches, or I don't know what a manager in Double A makes. I'm sure it's not that great,
no, no,
but
it's
you're
not.
working towards something way bigger. And
Even big league
sorry,
coaches. I said even big
yeah,
league coaches.
no, totally, totally, totally. I mean, I think unless you're coaching college football, you're not making the big money.
College baseball is getting there.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's getting there, but you're right. Like college football is probably the only one. Like I, my manager now, Bobby Meacham, he played for the Yankees for years. He coached in the big
Mm-hmm.
leagues, and he was just like, I mean, it's a better lifestyle because he's like,
Mm-hmm.
when they do come visit, they get to stay at the Ritz Carlton and stuff like that. But
Yeah,
he's like,
yeah,
it's still expensive. Like, it's
yeah.
not. Like he's like I'm not making what the players are making. So
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
I'm working on my second cup of coffee right now. I'm about to pour it real
Go
quick,
get
and
it.
I'll be right.
Go get it. Go get it. Go get it.
But no, that's awesome, man. I didn't know you became the GM. That's insane.
Yeah, yeah. It's
How was it?
kind of the worst job ever.
Oh, I haven't heard many say it's a good job.
I just wanted to try it. But it's it's not on field. I'm an on field guy, so I actually almost got kicked out of a
That's
game for chirping the umpires, and in like my golf shirt and my khakis and all that. And but yeah, it's not for me, man. You got to be forward facing. You want to be around the team, you want to be around the players, and then you got to go deal with food and beverage, right? It's like it's a job. You're dealing with people in the front office that it's not their passion, it's their job, right? They're there trying to train them, you're trying to motivate them, and they're just there punching a clock.
yeah,
So
yeah,
so yeah,
yeah,
I mean, again, I always recommend when I work with business people, like try the stuff you don't want to do. Try the stuff that seems hard. Go big, go do all these things just to realize you don't want to do it. Just say you've done it and learn from it. So,
awesome,
but
awesome.
man, I'm comfy where I'm at now. In my office at home, it's 5 a.m. here. I get up I get up nice and early. I get up around 4, so this was perfect. I love.
Okay,
There's a lot
cool.
of
I was
East
like, I
Coast.
hope I'm not like inconveniencing you. I'm the same
No,
way. I get up and I've been up since like 6:30. So
yeah, yeah. Um, dude, yeah. So you've had quite the journey, bro.
I have, I have.
I
It's
it's nice. We should call this a little cup of coffee conversations. It's so much calmer in the morning. I talked to a dude yesterday who just committed to Tennessee. Um,
dope.
he's playing in the draft league, and it was middle of the day, and we were all fired up, and we're bouncing around. It's like everybody, this is nice and calm. But I created this podcast mostly for high school kids, parents, kind of with my job working with high school players. Majority is what I work with high school players, kind of navigating the maze of travel ball, of recruiting, of all the crazy coaching in the way. I'm bringing guys on I know that have been there and that have kind of, I mean, everybody's had their unique path to where they are right now. And you're in Double A right now, Hartford Yard Goats. Is Adam McKillican back up yet?
Adam is rehabbing right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I
I
he
had
was.
him on the podcast a while ago.
Yeah, he's actually looking good. He just I think they threw a pin Tuesday or Wednesday. But
Cool,
yeah,
cool.
yeah.
So yeah, what my goal here is to gain perspective for people because it's Canada here. Majority of my listeners are Canadian, and there's a skewed perception on baseball and development here, and expectations are very unrealistic here. I work with a lot of kids. First thing we do is we go over goals. And I go, okay, what's your goal, 13-year-old little Johnny? And the same answer is always, well, I want to go to Vandy. I'm like, okay. Cool, man. Awesome. That's great. Let's shoot for the stars. But do you understand what that entails? Do you understand everything involved with that? And they're like, no, I just want to go there. Like, so, I'm trying to, I tell them, I'm like, okay, you got to do this. You got to do this. You got to do this. And they're like, okay, Coach Curtis, like we've been around you for a long time. You're from here too. What do you know? So I'm bringing people on to say, hey, this is what it's like, and this was my journey, and this is where I am, and this is how good I was coming out of high school potentially.
Yeah.
So with that being said, man, I mean, I'd love for you to kind of, and this is kind of how I started, is just kind of share try to, cliff notes, important parts of your story from high school to where you are now.
Yeah. No, that's first off, this is awesome. I wish I had this when I was coming up.
Me too.
It was a journey, man, and like it was kind of just trial and error. And I was hoping I was doing the right thing. I was hoping the advice my dad was giving me was right. And yeah, man, a guy in high school, first 2 years, I was a 3-sport athlete. Just played all three, went and played.
And you went to high school in Chicago?
Yeah, Mount Carmel High School. Junior, senior year, focused on football, baseball. Really wanted to play football in college.
Yeah.
Just realized from an athletic standpoint, I needed my metrics to be a little bit better. So baseball is probably going to be the way I went. And honestly, starting my sophomore year, I started getting interest from colleges, and it was like, okay, so like this is where it is.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up committing to Missouri. It was pretty early, but that was like the early sites of like guys like committing freshman year and sophomore year.
Yeah.
So it's like a little bit.
That's gone now. Do you knew that? You can't do that anymore.
I'm glad. It was probably one of the worst things that ever existed in college sports. But it was a little pressure from there to go ahead and try to commit early because all my friends were, and it was like a status thing. If you were committed like freshman and sophomore year, you were like a dude. Luckily, like I did like commit for good reasons though. Like the recruiting coordinator and coaching staff there was like amazing at the time, and it was like who I needed.
Was BMAC there?
What's that?
Was BMAC there?
BMAC got there when I was there, so it was the coaching change when I got there.
Yeah.
Literally the summer of me getting on campus and taking classes. Within like a month, the entire staff flipped. BMAC did come in, which they were still awesome, but it just didn't work for my sophomore year. Ended up having to transfer, going JUCO, and that was like one of the toughest things I've ever done in my life. Like going from SEC to like a JUCO, you don't really
ego takes a hit.
Oh, like you go from like everything being folded up in your locker and hung up to like you doing the laundry, and like it was great though. It was character building. It was like I wouldn't change it one bit.
That's the common theme right now, AJ. Is majority of dudes who have played D1, played JUCO. Everybody says, I wouldn't trade JUCO for the world. They didn't want to do it at the time. They're like, this is a death sentence for my career.
Yeah.
I played JUCO, and this is the best couple years of my baseball career. With the guys, it was like we shared like 5 helmets. We had like 4 bats. We had to go to Walmart and get our own tape to tape our wrists.
Man, no, you're so right, and I wouldn't trade it. And it, like when I look back, and that's how I know it was kind of tough because I look back now and I'm like, yo, that was actually really tough. Like, but no, man, like it built a lot of character. I was able to, and it put it in perspective for me. Like I realized, like I was able to play a lot, and it made me realize, like, hey, the most important thing is playing. And that was I went to JUCO, and that summer is actually when I played for you. When I came out to BC, and it was probably one of my favorite summers I had playing baseball. And I was just in this mood of like, hey, I need to enjoy because I hadn't committed yet until like when I was out there. And I was talking to a couple of bigger schools, and the scholarships were very slim and like walk on spots almost. And it was a hit to the ego. I was like, dude, I was on a 80% scholarship to an SEC school at first, and now I'm like barely getting offers. And
what JUCO were you at?
Johnny Logan.
Okay,
it was in Carbondale, Illinois.
Okay,
and so When I got out there, I ended up committing to Eastern, and it was
Yeah.
probably the best thing I could have done.
Yeah.
The team there, I mean, it was a mid-major, but the team there was really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
We had a really good coaching staff. I mean, Edwin Thompson, Julius McDougall, Sean Cole, who ended up coaching. He coached the USA team, the national team, for a
Cool.
couple of years. Nick Wilson, who's now the hitting coordinator for the Rockies, actually was there.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so it was one of those things where I was like, everything happens for a reason, and you got to just trust it. And it's like in my head, I had this route when I left high school as to what it was going to look like and how
Mm-hmm.
I should go, and I need to be a top 5 rounder, and like I was,
I mean, all that would have been nice, but
yeah.
it's so. Let me circle back. You said advice from your dad and what your dad knew. Where was your, what advice did your dad give you? Like, where did he help, and what did that do for you, in your journey?
It was really interesting. So my dad didn't play college or obviously professional sports, so he kind of only had a baseline of like what he saw,
Yeah.
and it was pretty adamant to me at first, like, hey, like school is the most important thing. Like no matter what, you need to get an education because that's what's going to take you beyond all of this stuff. But when it came to baseball, he was just like super supportive. Like it was never like I feel bad. Like a lot of guys tell me all the time, like, oh, my dad, like if I have a bad game, he like calls me and tells me this. My dad's like, hey, you got to do like give him tomorrow. Like you all like
Yeah.
it's a sport, it's baseball. And
Yeah.
so I've always had that perspective on it, and it's helped me even more now. I mean, now is probably the toughest baseball I've ever had to play,
For sure.
and it's kind of like the most calm I've ever been, and like the least amount of success I've had. But like,
Well, you're getting
the,
old too. That happens with age. You're getting old.
okay, I'm glad that's making me feel a little better. I'm like, I was
You
like, no,
calm you calm down, and then just, well, if you have kids when you're older, it's tough. Your patience isn't there as much, I find.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, the game's slowing down a little bit for you, right? It's not the fast pace that it was. You can, yeah. I mean, what year did you graduate high school? 2015, 2016?
16,
Yeah. So shoot, you're a ways out of high school.
yeah,
You've
which is
grown a
crazy.
lot.
Yeah,
I
almost
know. I mean, it's crazy to think it was only 6 years ago you were here, but it seems like 12 to 15 years ago you were here. It just seems like a long, long time ago, right?
yeah,
Like it's um well, that's cool to hear you had that support from your dad, because that's what, in my opinion, that's what keeps a lot of kids going. That's what keeps the pressure off.
yeah,
You don't have this weight of, oh shit, I got to do this for my folks because they're investing so much into me.
yeah,
It's that's a tough one. What Okay, let's keep on your journey here. So you JUCO, and then you signed again to Eastern.
yeah. Went to Eastern. Thought I had a pretty good junior year. Thought I should have got drafted. Obviously, didn't. But I was able to go to the Cape, and after the Cape,
I remember
I was
that.
I kind of went out there and played well in the stint that I was there. Got hurt, and it was just like, all right, like you're good enough. Like you just
Well,
go to the
let's talk about your numbers at Eastern your junior year. I think you're being a little modest here. They're pretty good. They're real good.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know them exactly. I
Yeah,
can estimate like where they were. I know I hit around 300. I know
yeah,
that.
yeah. And you're one
I
of the
was
top you were one of the top catchers in the nation.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, look at you. You're so modest, dude. I love it. Yeah.
I mean, I was, but obviously it wasn't good enough. So,
I
uh,
know, but still, it's like that's pretty cool. That got you to the Cape, though.
yeah, it did,
Yeah.
and there was,
Who'd
I
you play
think,
for in the Cape?
Orleans,
Okay.
Orleans,
Yeah.
yeah, which was, I mean, one of the coolest things I've ever done too.
Yeah.
Just being out on that coast and just the
Uh-huh.
competition was top tier, obviously.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, I really enjoyed that, but I would say like playing there kind of gave me the confidence, like, hey, like you are a dude, like you can
You
do these
belong.
things. You know go be great. And
Mhm.
after that, went back to Eastern, had another solid year. COVID happened.
Mhm.
Once COVID happened, kind of wanted to move around. It was like no bad blood or anything. I just was like, hey, I need something different, and knew I probably wasn't getting drafted again, so I went ahead and committed to Arkansas.
That's
Um,
right.
yeah, and when I committed
That's
there,
a pretty decent program.
yeah, it wasn't bad at all. I actually would like I would have loved to have actually been able to go, and because I was on campus and did everything, but uh, as I was going through it, right before classes started, the Rockies ended up, saying they wanted to sign me, and it was just like, hey, like, does this make sense? Like, if the goal is to get there, you're not getting any younger, so like,
Yeah.
just go see. And ended up signing from there in 2020. So
2020, and we're 2024. Um, what was that like hearing from the Rockies? Obviously, were you talking to anybody else at the time?
I had talked to a couple of other teams, but I had kind of made up in my mind, just kind of going back to like that mindset of like school. I graduated when I was starting my master's, and it was one of those things where I was like, I'm just gonna go to school and finish and get my master's,
Mhm.
and baseball would have helped me get 2 degrees, and I'll figure it out from here. And the Rockies like offered me at first, and I like was like, I probably need to stay here, and they were like, we'll pay for whatever schooling. So I was like, okay,
Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense now. So.
Throw money at you. That's the way they do it. It's
But it was
awesome.
different. It was like it was a max for free agent signings at the
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
School was like the one thing where I was like, yeah, that's worth it. Like I'll
Yeah.
do that.
So so you signed with the Rockies. What's the time frame there? Like what time of year was that? When did you sign? After the
That
draft?
was that was like early August,
Yeah.
literally a week before school started. Like I
Yeah.
was on camp, I had been working out with the team and doing all the summer stuff, and like it was crazy. I enrolled in classes, and
Okay. So
right before,
you were on campus, you were on field
yeah, a week
training.
before, yeah,
Uh,
before I just was like, hey, this I appreciate it, but I probably want to sign.
well, I'm sure the coaching staff was like, "Yeah, go. See ya."
Oh, Van Horn was amazing about it. Like
Yeah.
yeah, no, it was totally fine.
Cool. And pro ball. Pro ball. What's that? Let's talk about a grind. Talk about not knowing what a grind is until you're in the middle of it with dudes from everywhere. They don't speak English. You came up as a catch. You're a catcher. You got pitchers conveniently not knowing how to speak English when they're pissed off. I've been there, man. I've been there, and it's a different world. You're not the money getting tiny bits of money to do things. The living conditions are different. Your buses. How was that?
It's like you just said, it's a grind.
Mm-hmm.
It's the grind you love though,
Yep.
and I feel like everything in my career up to now like prepared me for this, and you still don't understand it, or you can't even fathom it until you go through it. Like you hear about the stories all the time, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, conditions are much better now than
Yeah.
they were even when
Yeah.
I got in. Like my
Yeah.
first year, you had to find your own apartment. You didn't know where you were going until like a week before spring ended, and then like
Mm-hmm.
go, and in that week you got to find housing and do all these things on your own while you're trying to like go to practice and do it. And it's just like it's
It's
like
insane. It's
no one,
insane.
yeah. Like every other job, they give you like they give you money to move into places. They
Yeah.
they send you recs, and now you're just all on your own. So that was a grind in itself. Learning to play every day is like a weird concept as well. And then two, like learning not to play every day. Like there's only been like I can honestly say like a month or two in my career where I was an everyday guy. And other than that, I've been like on and off the development list. Like I, on one, off three, play the
Mm-hmm.
next. So like learning how to do that is actually a real skill as well. And you're not doing it on the same schedule as someone else. Like in college, you play some midweek games, get a couple of days off, and then you play a weekend series. Like here, those guys are playing every day, and I'm not. So when I get in, like, how do I prepare, and how am I, you know, able to compete with them and not have an excuse, because there is no excuse. That's just your job. Like, you have to like show up and do your job. So it's been a complete learning experience, and I've loved every piece of it though. Like, it frustrates the hell out of you. You want to, break bats against walls all the time, but you can't. Obviously, you got to be professional and just like, take the punches as you go. Like, it's just part of the job.
What obviously, when you're not playing every day and you're you have a role, you have to do something. In your mind, how hard is it to get over, okay, I'm here, I have to contribute in this way, and how important is process over outcome where you're at?
It's the most important thing.
Yeah.
I was just like lucky enough to be mature about it when I got picked up. I knew what I was getting myself into. I knew, like, as a undrafted free agent, like, and a catcher specifically, like, you're here for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't. It frustrated me at first, especially when you feel like everyone feels like they should be getting opportunity, and I need this, I need that. But when I'm able to like take a step back and actually look at the situation, it's like, okay, like, how can I be a star in this role? Like, how can I be the guy that like can do the really tough job? And you don't get that way looking for results. You
Yeah.
have to dive into the process, and like, the process is your win. Like, when you can do your routine every single day, that's when you won. Like that, not
Yeah.
when you go 3 for 4 in a game. Like, when you go 3 for 4 in a game, that's just the icing on the cake. That's like,
Yeah.
it validates the process. But like, if you go 0 for 3, like, you don't stop doing your process. You refine it. You make it
when
better.
did
You do
when
it.
did you learn that? Like, when did that click for you, man?
I think it was at JUCO time,
Yeah.
like, because I struggled in JUCO a little bit, man. Like, I went and thought I was just supposed to hit like 400,
Yeah.
and I went and struggled, and it was like, dude, like, no, like, what are you gonna be like? What's gonna be your basis? Like, who are you? And you can't just be the guy that shows up and think you're supposed to be good. So I had to like, that's when I first started like the process and like a routine, and like, hey, like, this is who I want to be, and like, I gotta outwork everyone. Like, and
Yeah.
once I start, and it was, I hate to say like that's when it happened, but like, when that happened, I was able to get more consistent results. And when I got the more consistent results, I realized that it was from the work. And so like, that's when I just like fell in love with it. It was like no other option.
Do you see that translating off field? Like, do you see that falling into everyday life, process versus outcome?
Yeah, it makes life a lot easier. Baseball is like, you have these processes, you have these routines, and like, it's so unpredictable as to like how
Mhm.
it's gonna go. Like, and you can control it to a certain extent. I find, and in life, things happen too that you can't control. But I do find that there are more instances where it does work out if you do the right thing and handle things the right way,
Yeah.
and have that process in place. So, 100%.
Yeah. Um, because so when we met, you kind of came to Victoria in BMAX suitcase, right? Like, you just kind of rolled up with him, just slept on him and Todd's couch for a little bit, and
Yeah.
BMAC just kind of said, "Hey, I got a guy with me." We didn't even know you were here. And when you came in here, if I remember correctly, you're kind of like, coming out of D1 school, I don't really know, like, what position am I going to play? Like, what am I going to do here? What was the
Yeah.
mindset when you got to Victoria? I mean, you must have been like, if I remember correctly, you're kind of not lost, but like looking for direction.
No, I was. I very much so was. Like, I was leaving JUCO where I called. I played, some middle infield. I played first a little bit. I played the outfield, and like, um, I was very concerned about like having an identity on the baseball field,
Mm-hmm.
like knowing where I wanted to be, instead of like, I honestly should have just like fell into that role earlier, like, of being the utility, and it would have saved me a lot of headaches. But no,
What you mean? You mean like for yourself, like understanding your own identity?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, gotcha.
And when I went into Victoria, I wanted to offensively. I always felt like, I could hit. Like, I thought that was my thing, and so I wasn't really worried about that. And I also understand how volatile hitting is. Like, you have good seasons, you have bad
Yeah.
months. You have like, if you're a hitter, you're a hitter. Like, you have to
Mm-hmm.
live and die by that. I wanted to use that time to find like defensively where I fit in and where I should be best fit. And I knew catching was probably the spot that I wanted. And so BMAC gave me that opportunity, and I worked with you a lot. We worked a lot that summer. And that was like my biggest thing. Like, hey, when I go into this fall, I want to be ready. And that's why I stayed the entire summer. I played as much as possible. Like when guys were leaving, I was like, good, I get to play
That
even
was
more.
that was a tough season. I remember our bullpen was like, it was bad. We had a girl in the bullpen.
Yeah.
I'm not saying anything wrong about girls, but you're looking at high level collegiate summer ball. It was that was a tough ending. That was a tough end of the season. It's a grind. So and catching kind of stayed with you. When you came into Victoria, was that a thought process? Like, how much catching did you do before you got to Victoria?
I caught the entire season before.
Yeah.
But it was, it was still like, hey, like I'm going into a new situation. I don't know, like, they tell you what you want to hear in colleges. So I took it with a grain of salt, but during the recruiting process, I should say. But I was just like, hey, if anything happens, like, where else can I go?
Yeah.
Where else can I play? And that was like, I think I did a really good job that summer of like catching. But then when I didn't catch, I played other spots and like just got comfortable. And summer ball gives you the autonomy to like just go out there and play and not have to worry about too much of the result.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm getting my reps in right now, and like, yeah, we're gonna win and we're gonna do all these things, but like, this is more like development, and I truly like leaned into that piece of it, and it turned out pretty well.
Especially, it's especially important in Victoria. You can do that because the fans here don't know anything about baseball. They don't even know who's playing when they show up. They just want the good food and drinks and all that.
But man, it was packed there. Like it was.
Yeah, it was.
I was just like, yo, this is one of the best like fan
Yeah.
environments I've ever played in.
Yeah. What was I gonna say? So now you're with Colorado. What position are you playing right now?
So I am like, I would say a primary catcher, but literally the utility spot is what
Yeah,
I
because I've seen you in the outfield a little bit.
outfield, infield, first base, second, catching, DH.
Oh, second, everything. You're everywhere.
Yeah, just trying to literally be an asset wherever I need to be.
Cool.
Like wherever they need me to fill in and be that guy. Like that's my role. Like
How many pens you catch a week, dude?
Oh, a lot. Like that's the until you get to the big leagues and like guys, that's their job. Like that's your job. So.
Well, let me ask you this, because I remember. You obviously know who Tanner Swanson is, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Tanner was a guy I worked with, developing my systems as a catching coach, and he was at UW when I worked with him. So he was still coming up, and he had these funky theories, and it wasn't until 2019, 2020 when every catcher started just sitting on a knee. How grateful are you that you're able to do that now instead of having some old guy yell at you, be like, you got to be in a good secondary, and all that. You can just chill on a knee.
It saves the knees, it saves the hips, it saves everything. And like, I honestly wasn't a fan of it before.
Nobody is. I'll tell you, I wasn't either. I was like, nah, we can't do that. Like that it's not right. It can't be faster. It's got to be slower.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's not. So talk to me about this. Like, talk to me about your catching development with the Rockies. Obviously you guys have a coordinator. You guys do work. You guys look at video. You guys look at numbers. What's the theory? What's the theory with the Rockies and catching?
So we actually have a really good catching segment. Like we have Dustin Garneau, who played for a while and just is very smart and how he thinks about things, and he's very analytical. And so it really helps me out because like if you're going to tell me something, I want to know why.
Totally.
And what's pointing you in that direction. And we also have Jerry Weinstein. So you talk about Tanner, like being very different. Jerry is extremely different, but honestly, like everything that he says, like has meaning behind it, and it's like, yo, like, it works. Like try it. Like it might not. be the most conventional, but like it's got some merit to it, and I promise you, like if you take what you need out of it, you'll get something out of it. And so,
Like what? Like, can you give me an example? Like what you guys are doing?
it's a ton. Like the way we train, with like Jerry does random receiving, which I don't think anybody's ever done it before. But like he has like these, I think it's like three different weighted balls, and like he
Yeah.
puts them in a machine, and the machine's cranked,
He
and like
puts weighted balls in the machine.
well, they aren't weighted; they're like lighter, honestly. Like the
Okay.
heaviest ball is a regular ball,
Yeah, yeah.
and the other two are like two different. Like one like really takes off, and then the other one like will kind of
Oh,
like
so
choose.
you're you're basically representing like high spin.
So yeah, high spin, but then another one's like two seaming, and then you get like a regular.
Yeah.
So like now it's like using your eyes and making sure you like, a tough one of the toughest things is like controlling the balls outside of the zone, especially when you're pro ball. And guys like, early on they're working through things, they're fixing
Yeah.
mechanics and things like that. And so we're like sitting there, I'm like, wait, are we doing random receiving? Like it is kind of dangerous, but then you get in the game and like you're super relaxed. And like when the ball's up and away and you're set up down and in, like I mean up and in or something like that, like you don't panic, you don't freak out. Like and
You're almost like a soccer goalie at that point.
exactly. And like
Mhm.
just the thought process behind how we do these things it's pretty amazing.
And again, so up here I work with catchers and I have my theories, and there's a lot of old school coaches here that are not a fan of me and what I say. Like, no, you got to do it this way. You got to do it this way. It's like, okay, it's fine. You've never done it, but that's fine. Go ahead and teach them that. Talk to me about you guys putting the one knee down. And I know for us, it's like, okay, we understand it, but what are the benefits for you? And in game, do you use it a lot? Are you in traditional, or how do you set up?
I can safely say I don't use a traditional stance at all anymore.
Yeah. Hmm.
The receiving metrics are so much so much better from a knee, and it
Yeah.
was night and day.
Yeah.
You you're closer to the ground, and so
Yeah.
like as long as you're set up the right way, you're able to push and block better. Like you get to the spot quicker. Like that ball that goes through the 5 hole because you kind of jumped up before you went down, or like you kicked back and like it was like that's just not a thing. Like you literally turn your glove over, or you
Yeah.
push out and turn your glove over. So blocking is so much easier. Throwing was the reason why I was off it at first. Just it was a little tougher for me to throw from that position. But once I was able to like rep it and find, in the bullpen, when I call it
Yeah.
thousands of them,
Yeah.
when I was able to find like what worked for me, like the throwing aspect of it is even easier now. So it made the game overall, like it just makes it a lot simpler back there. Like there's a lot
I've
of love.
I've 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 found it more enjoyable. It's just like your heart rate's lower, your body's more relaxed. So your body's more relaxed, you can move more. I mean, Mitch Garver was the guy I watched the most, and the guy is just so good. He's just so good, and I'm seeing videos on social media of like the best pop times and guys throwing guys out, and they're all from a knee. They're all from a non-traditional setup, and majority of them are from non-traditional arm slots too. Tell me about arm slots. Tell me about what you do with arm slots and the work you do.
So we do play a lot with it. It's built into our everyday catch play. Just
Yeah,
changing arm slots when we come in, but one of the best with it. And I played against them in low A, high A, and that was probably it. Patrick Bailey, like
yeah,
it's like he's turning double plays when he's throwing
totally.
somebody out. And this instant, he puts it on the bag like people run into his tags. I
Yeah.
mean, into the throws. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that it's like the catching spot used to be where you just stick somebody and like if they were bigger and could hit, but now it's turned into like an actual like athletic position. Like you have to be a pretty good athlete to be back there now. Like they're looking for you to be able to move, block. You need to be able to throw on a run. Like if a guy lays down a bunt in the shift, like can you go make that play? That's a huge part of it. So
And then you throw guys in the mix like Alejandro Kirk, and you're like, what? Come on, for
yeah,
real?
yeah,
The bowling ball on freaking toothpicks. It's like,
yeah.
but But yeah, I mean, and that's the thing here. And when when we're doing training, when we're doing intentional warm ups with all these things, it's like you got to work on the slots, you got to work on the different knees, you got to work on different angles. You have to work on throwing on the run, man. As a catcher, is a no brainer in my opinion. Do you remember anything in high school, or like what'd you do in college with that stuff? Was it more traditional, or were you allowed to play around a little bit?
Towards the end of my career, I was getting to the knee, and guys were going down a lot. I think my senior year, I kind of jumped into it. Like I was starting to do it and play with it. Um, Early on, though, it was pretty, traditional with the two knee. I mean, with the 2 feet.
Yeah.
But the numbers and the metrics showed, and luckily, like we were able to like see those things, and it was a no brainer. Once I was told it, like it was like, all right, well, I probably need to figure it out because that's where the game's going, and
Yeah.
you don't ever want to be that guy that's left behind because of something like that.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely. What are you working on right now offensively? What's going on with your swing?
Offensively,
Yeah. Where you at?
so offensively, I honestly feel like I'm in probably one of the best spots I've been in my career. Swing wise, like I'm playing every day is like a tough, like you don't find a rhythm, and so I was like, hey, like I'm not gonna find a rhythm. Like, what's gonna give me the best chance of having success every time I get in? Um, and what I found is like, not a launch angle swing or anything like that, but just being on plane. Like when you get beat, can you hit a backside line drive in the 4 hole and be all right? And that's been one of the main things for me, like being able to be ready for heaters and also just like making sure I'm on plane. I'm not steep to the ball. I'm not just trying to like launch it to left center field. Like, hey, like, can you get on plane and actually like stay through the baseball wherever it's pitched? And then like the chase piece is like always been my biggest thing. It's like don't chase like at all. Like know what you're looking for. Know pitcher throws. Know where he's trying to beat you and get you out, and knowing where like the stuff that he will make you chase, knowing where it needs to start to be a strike.
Well, and you're talking less than two strikes, the chase piece, right? It's like this one thing I see and that's not really taught is swing your swing. Don't be scared to miss.
I mean, that's true. It is true. But at the same time, like
Because you see guys, like, okay, I'm looking fastball. They come with something different and they adjust to make contact. And the pitcher wins. He induces soft contact. Instead of swinging and missing, like you see on TV, guy's way ahead of a curveball. Fine, strike one. All right, we're good. We get another swing.
yeah, that bat speed is always king. Like our hitting coach now is king on that. He's like, dude, don't ever slow your bat down to make contact. I mean, obviously 2 strikes, you want to foul it
Yeah,
off.
2 strikes, 100%, completely
But
different. Yeah,
that is to know, like, if you get fooled, like, literally take a hack and just get back and regroup. No, 100%. I totally believe in that. And the thing is, you're going to get fooled. No one is like 0% chase. Like, pitchers are good. Like, that's where the game is now. Like, it's okay to chase. You just want to limit it. You don't want to be that guy that they're just up there flipping, breaking balls to it on the outer half and falling off the plate. And you
totally.
time after time. So,
There's nothing worse. I'd rather strike out than roll over, dude.
yeah.
Have you did
Long run chase.
yeah? Did you did you ever in college, or I guess not? It probably wouldn't have been college, but in pro ball, did you see Paul Skeens last night?
I heard about it. I hadn't seen it yet. I haven't even turned on
Did you
Sports
see
Center.
him? Did you see any of him? Did you face him?
I did not face him.
No.
I saw him. I was already in college when he. I mean, I was already in pro ball when he was
Yeah,
at
when he was at
LSU.
college. Yeah.
I remember watching him pitch that year, national championship.
Yeah.
One of my good friends, Jaden, went to LSU, and so he's always like the game's always on that they're playing, and so I remember watching him, and I was like, "Yo, the kid's like legit." And he was just always poised, and like nothing got him rattled. And,
Yeah.
I mean, I think what did he do last night? Shutty.
Seven no hit.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So he's different, dude. That's
But
why I have a mustache. I
his
started
first-
growing my mustache last night because of that. So. AJ, I appreciate having you on, man. If we can leave with one thing, if piece of advice for my crew. I got this new system called on base. It's called Mindset U. What's something you could tell the players there?
I would just say like fall in love with the work, man. Like the results are so volatile, and like I mean it's baseball. Like you just don't, or it's life in general. Like you can't script it. So falling in love with the work, though, you'll be able to like have something that you really love that you can fall back on no matter what. And that's just like what I've done, and it's not going to say it's like 100% bulletproof, but it's held up pretty strong.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, it's fun watching you play, man. It's fun seeing you still in the game. It's cool hearing, seeing you grow, maturing, slowing down. You still look exactly the same though, 6 years later.
I appreciate that, Curtis.
You you have a good day, bro. I appreciate it. I'm just gonna get you to stay on after I hit stop here, and it's just gonna upload, okay?